Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Time to Draw with Mr. Shaw. Today we're going to be drawing a very popular Marvel superhero character, especially in the last few years. We're going to be drawing the Black Panther. For our drawing lesson today, you just need something to draw with: a pencil, a marker, a crayon, a pen, whatever you have lying around, and a piece of paper. Remember, if you're starting to run low on paper at home, you can definitely use the back of a piece of paper. You can flip your paper over, maybe draw this picture in the corner, draw your next picture in a different corner. Try to reduce, reuse, and recycle wherever you can. As I'm drawing this, I'm going to start out with some simple shapes and get more detailed as we go along. If you're having trouble keeping up, pause the video, rewind it if you need to, rewatch it if you can. But let's go ahead and get started and see what our good friend T'Challa is up to today. So the first thing I'm going to start out with is his head. Now, when we draw a figure, we want to start out with some simple shapes. So I'm going to draw a nice oval for his head. I usually tend to draw it kind of lightly at first and then have it get a little darker once I find a shape that I like. Now, the Black Panther has two kind of like triangle shaped ears on the top of his head. They're not super big, but I'm going to go ahead and darken in or sketch in those two little triangle shapes for the ears on his mask. And then I'm going to give myself some very, very light guidelines. I want T'Challa to be, T'Challa is the name of the Black Panther if you don't already know. I want him to be looking kind of off in this direction. I don't want him to be looking straight at us. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm very lightly going to draw a curved line down the middle of his head. And that's going to kind of show where the center of his face would be. It's not quite in the middle. I have him turned off to the side. And then I usually like to draw another curved line kind of near the middle of the head where his eyes would be. And that helps me kind of plan out where his face is going to be, especially since I can't see most of it. So for his eyes, I'm just going to draw two kind of triangle shapes. They're pointed kind of downward. I want the Black Panther to look kind of fierce, maybe a little bit mean. He's on the trail of some bad guys, I'm sure. And then while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and add some of those details of his face. In the movies and in the comics, a lot of times when we see his costume, we see these lines coming down his forehead on both sides, just two kind of curved lines to make his head look curved as well. And then we're going to have them angle in and then down to his eye. Now, in the Marvel movie series, there's two sets of those lines, so I'm just going to repeat that, going down like this. Then I'm going to have another set of lines coming down around his eyes and then bumping upwards a little bit where his nose would be. And then we're going to have some angles here on his cheeks, like this and like this. I'm just going to draw two lines, one coming in diagonally and one going straight down on both sides. And that's going to give the impression of his face having a nose and the mouth and the markings that are on the Black Panther's costumes, both in the movies and in the comic books. Now, for the rest of the Black Panther, I want his body to be kind of crouched over, almost like a cat, like a predatory animal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very lightly draw in a rectangle kind of behind his head. And that's going to be the shape of his shoulders. If he's hunched over, his head's going to be in front of his shoulders. We're not really going to see much of his neck. Looks like the sun went behind a cloud. It got a little darker in my video here, but please bear with me. I don't want to get up and turn on all the lights again. So I'm going to have his body bent over, and I'm going to draw kind of a curved rectangle coming off to the side like this. And that's going to be his shoulders, kind of his midsection, and then his stomach. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing in his legs. Now, we're going to do a very cool trick with his right leg, the one on our left side, and it's a trick called foreshortening. That's when you have things in front of other things, and while part of his leg will be coming out at us, we're not going to see the whole shape of it. So here's how I'm going to do that trick. I'm going to start by drawing his knee right around here, right where his waist is. It seems kind of strange at first, but bear with me. I'm going to draw a circle for his knee, and then I'm going to draw almost like a diamond shape coming down. And that's actually the bottom part of his leg. Here's his knee and the part of his leg called the shin. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to draw kind of a triangle shape for his foot. And I'm going to have that coming down, almost like it's coming at us. Now, on the Black Panther's costume, he does have little claws. So I'm going to draw three triangles kind of coming out from that to look like a foot shape. Now here's where our foreshortening trick gets really cool. Starting from that knee, I'm going to draw an oval, kind of curving around, touching the side of his hip right here, where his leg would be coming out. And I'm going to curve that around about halfway down the bottom part of his leg here. And if I erase these circular lines that I had in there, now it looks like the bottom part of his leg is in front, and then his thigh, the upper part of his leg, is kind of going back towards his body. And it makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Now his other leg, if he was crouching down, might be kneeling down. So I'm going to draw his thigh, that big oval shape, coming down like this. And then I'm going to do another foreshortening trick. This time I'm not going to draw the entire bottom part of his leg like I did in this leg. I'm just going to draw a little line coming out from his knee, and then a little shape coming down with those pointy toes for his back leg. And if I shade that in a little bit with my pencil, it almost looks like that part of his leg is bent back under his body, and we can only see a little bit of it poking through. Now down here on this front-facing foot, I'm going to draw some curved lines on those claws just to make them look like they're coming towards us a little bit better. And I think that looks pretty good for T'Challa's upper body and his legs. I'm going to do two sets of diagonal lines on this foot just to look like that boot shape. Now we're going to block in the Black Panther's arms. I'm going to have one arm coming down here to kind of balance himself while he's crouching on one knee and one foot. So, excuse me, the muscles in his arm, I'm going to start with a round shape for this shoulder muscle, and then I'm going to have an oval coming down from that, and then another longer, pointier oval coming down from that shape. And that's going to be his forearm, the middle part of his arm, the bicep, and then his shoulder. Now, since that arm is going to be in front of that bent leg, I can erase these lines here and here, and that'll make it look like this arm is overlapping this leg. It's a cool trick. And then I'm going to draw a little circle, almost like an oval, for his hand, almost like his hand is out flat in front of him. And I'm going to draw the thumb coming in this direction, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers coming down like that. I'm also going to give him little claws on the ends of his fingers. His suit has claws, which are great for climbing and scratching things, I'm sure. And he also has what appear to be kind of sharp teeth shapes. They're actually little diamonds, almost like the shape of a kite, just going around his forearm. Just on this part of his arm right here, he has those shapes going all the way around. Now, if I don't have enough room to draw that full shape here on the edge, I can just draw a little bit of it right there. And this is starting to look a lot more like the Black Panther. Now, he has those same shapes actually coming in a circle around his neck on the upper part of his chest. So what I can do for that is I can lightly kind of plan where I want those to be by drawing a light circle around his head. And then I can do those pointy diamond shapes kind of radiating out. They're all kind of pointing away from his head as I go around in this circle. And I'm going to draw those in all the way around the head as best as I can fit them. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to draw his other arm coming off in this direction. I'm going to have this arm kind of in a claw ready for action. So I'm going to draw a circle very lightly at first for his shoulder muscle. And then again, these same shapes, that oval and then the longer, pointier oval. This is almost like a diamond shape. So I'm going to draw this oval and then that longer, pointier oval. It's almost like a diamond shape with curved edges. And again, for the hand, I'm going to lightly sketch in a circle and then give it some fingers. This time I want those fingers to be bent with those claws, almost like he's getting ready to fight some bad guys. So I'm going to draw those claws coming around like this. And I want to make sure I get all 4 of them in there. Now, if you run out of room like I did, and you only have 3 fingers in there, and you don't want that pinky kind of hanging off at a weird angle, you can just draw a little bit of it peeking out just like that, and it'll still look like, just like on your real hand, those claw fingers. You might even see a little bit of that pinky peeking out on the end. Then I'm going to copy these diamond shapes around his forearm, going all the way around. This one's just going to peek out a little bit. I'm going to darken up these lines. I'm going to erase any lines or any places that look like they don't really belong. Now, if I want T'Challa or the Black Panther to really look like he's bent over, another trick I can do is kind of shade upwards very lightly from where his body is bent over, and I'm going to color it up into his chest a little bit, and then I'm going to color it down onto his leg a little bit. And that'll help him look like he's kind of bent backwards. He might be lurking in the darkness. Now, if you wanted to stop here, you can. This is a nice picture of the Black Panther, but I'm actually going to give him a setting. And one of my favorite scenes in the Black Panther movie is the very beginning when he's ambushing some bad guys in the jungle. So I'm actually going to put the Black Panther on the branch of a tree. So I'm going to draw 2 lines, pretty thick, coming out like this, almost like the branch of a tree, and it's getting skinnier as it goes out. When branches grow out from the trunk, they tend to get skinnier as they go. And then I'm going to curve the ends of this. I'm not quite going to touch them. I'm just going to curve the ends of that. And then I'm going to draw 2 long straight lines coming out from the bottom and top of this branch. And if I kind of mimic or copy that circular shape going around, now it looks like a branch growing out from the trunk of a tree. Now this long branch that the Black Panther is sitting on, I can add some horizontal lines. That means they're going side to side to make it look more like wood. I could have some other little branches coming off from this larger branch. This one can go right off the page. Maybe it splits in half a little bit. And then on the ends of these branches, I can just add some leaf shapes in little clusters. They can be any shape leaf you want to draw. I don't want to overload my tree with leaves, so you can draw as few or as many leaves as you'd like. I could have some other branches popping up here. And then if I want to, I could even draw some other trees here in this forest. Whenever we draw trees, we want to start with what I call a winter tree. You want to draw the trunk of the tree and the branches first, almost as if the tree has no leaves on it. A lot of times I tell my scholars not to draw lollipop trees when you just draw those 2 lines straight up and a big poof at the top. That's something we really want to avoid while drawing trees. So first I'm going to draw kind of like a tree would look in the winter with just those bare branches. And then at the ends of each of those branches, I can draw little clumps of leaves. I can either draw them individually, or I can copy some of the shapes I see on leaves and trees outside of my window. If you have a window to look out, or some trees in your neighborhood you could peek at. But I think this is a pretty good picture of T'Challa hanging out in the forest. Maybe it's nighttime. I can have some clouds up here in the background, kind of behind my trees. So however you want to decorate your Black Panther, whatever setting you want to put him in, snap a picture of that, send it to me on Class Dojo. I'd love to see it. If you have any ideas for something to draw next time, please leave a comment below. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you next time.